Hello, everyone. Welcome to Check-In.
They're starting to dress us the same. I got a problem with this.
You know that, yeah. Well, I do too.
Yeah, like the jacket we wore yesterday was lovely.
It was, but we were going to make a plea that.
We're not complaining. Let me rephrase that. It's interesting how they've chosen to dress us the same. Although it was the one jacket that was for sale yesterday.
Yes,
yeah.
But these are matching. They're beautiful.
Yes.
But maybe if we could we don't need to look like I don't know.
Oh, like a team?
Matching. Like,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Are we on Hockey Night in Canada right now? Where's our powder blue jacket? It's like.
See,
yeah. I would take one of those.
I was thinking more when you have, I don't know. Do you and your wife ever dress alike?
If she has the same colored clothes on, I go upstairs and change.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I walked downstars before and looked at my husband and said, "Oh, wow, maybe we have been together too long."
Yeah,
we're starting to dress alike.
Don't you remember? Oh, maybe you don't remember this, but when my parents had hockey mom and dad jackets that matched, those were like humiliating to be seen out. They're so proud of us, but it's just like embarrassing when you're a teenager. You're like, oh,
the buttons.
Yeah. With your face on it. Do
you guys remember the buttons? Did you have that? I feel that was very much in the 80s.
Mine was like this big. It was huge.
It was.
Yeah.
Of course it was. I'm Sara Lusky. He's Jamie Thomas. We've already gotten off the rails. This is Check-In as we get you set for tonight's game between the Winnipeg Jets and Colorado Avalanche. We appreciate all of you that are watching on Facebook, YouTube, X, more. And remember that you can join us at 12:30 on every game day. And if you aren't available to join us and get into the chat, which we love to see so many of you already in there today, that you can watch afterwards because we'll get you set for the games tonight. Second game on back-to-back nights.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like homestands with back-to-back games are so unique that you just. I woke up this morning thinking it was kind of an off day, but no, it's not. We're right back at it again after 2-1 loss at the Kings last night. Maybe we should get into why we're wearing this, then we'll get into all the other stuff. So it's Filipino Heritage Night. Like, can't wait.
Yep.
Yeah, great. It was fantastic last year. So these are on sale in Jets gear.
Yes. So anyone can get these. They are beautiful. We are going to give you our little tidbit though. Here's my little fashion bit. They are a little bit more fitted than some of the other ones. So maybe you want to keep that in mind if you want to size up. JT was a little concerned he wasn't going to be able to get into his.
I ate too much this morning.
Apple fritter?
No.
Okay.
11 days straight, no apple fritters.
Look at you.
It's a miracle.
It kind of is.
Yes.
Hard-fought point for the Jets last night against LA. This is going to be a key game tonight, obviously. That proverbial 4-point game with it being a divisional opponent. Colorado comes in. They have been playing well lately.
Yes.
They are 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. They are coming in off of a big win against Minnesota 6-1. They're playing well. They're currently sitting with 53 points. First wildcard spot for them. Now tied in points with Dallas, who sit third in the Central Division, but Colorado has played more games. So this will be a great one tonight. We know it's always, what did Scott say the other day about Central Division games? There's a little extra spice to them.
Yeah.
You know that there always is when the Avs and the Jets play.
I think, too, what helps, and I know a lot of people look at last night and they'll go, okay, it was a loss in overtime, but I think where you're starting to see consistently the Jets are playing that they're ready for the playoffs in some ways because of how tightly checking how tightly contested that game was last night. There wasn't a lot of anything for either side. And unfortunately, the Jets come out, it's always 50-50 in overtime. But for what, as much as LA took away from the Jets took away more from the Kings. So it's just like whoever makes that next mistake is the one that's going to be capitalized on. So that's a good sign heading into this game against the Avalanche. Obviously, a little more freewheeling are the Colorado Avalanche, but you play like that and don't make mistakes, then Colorado's not going to hurt you as much as they have in years past. So it would be very interesting to say. We can move on. We'll move on to talk about the game a little bit. But what we should do is kind of talk about the ceremony last night.
Well, first, let's say that for guests today.
Yes.
Looking forward, we're going to have Eric Hawerchuk, Dale Hawerchuk's son. He is in town. Very involved, obviously, with Hawerchuk Strong. Huge supporter and fan of the Winnipeg Jets. So looking forward to having Eric join us shortly in about 5 minutes. And then John Bartlett, who's calling the game tonight for Sportsnet, will join us as well. Quickly, our question of the day you had come up with.
Yeah. So look, the Kings game was like a playoff game. What are you expecting from the Jets and Avs? What are you guys looking for tonight? What are you expecting to see?
Here is my thing: is that yes, it was very much like a playoff game. And I was on a legal curve this morning. I was talking with the guys, and
that first period was very dry.
It was.
Yeah.
So this is where, and then Jeff Merrick came on and he was talking about how it was this, very much like a playoff game and great. And I said, yes, and great. We love the playoffs, but I could use just a little bit more spice than what we saw early on, especially really in those.
Well, the rivalry is not there, right? So let's be honest. First 2 periods, a little dry.
A little dry.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just looking. I don't need game 1 of Avs Jets end to end.
That's like heart attack stuff, though.
I don't need that.
Yeah.
Just need. I would just love to see just a little bit more. No morning skate today for the Jets. They did have a morning stretch.
Yeah.
But no morning skate. As for the lineup tonight, we are expecting to be the same lineup as what we saw yesterday up front, although there is a little bit of question mark surrounding Vladislav Namestnikov. You think about he blocked the shot yesterday, and so Scott Arniel said this morning that a little bit of question, so we'll wait and see whether or not he is able to go tonight. You know how tough he is, though. And then, of course, in net, last night was Eric Comrie. Tonight is Connor Hellebuyck getting the second game of back-to-backs. And now we can segue into your part about the great ceremony that we saw last night, where the Winnipeg Jets honored Hellebuyck for his accomplishments so far, 500 wins, 40 career shutouts, and the 300 wins that he got with that win and the record coming against Nashville.
Yeah, and this is pretty cool beforehand, too. This is all the jerseys. There's the 40 shutouts and the 500 appearances on the arm, the 300 wins for Connor Hellebuyck on the back of the jersey. A great shot around the dressing room. That's what every single player was wearing too, right? So when they
during
came on the
warm-up,
ice,
it was great. Yeah. I thought it was such a nice touch that yes, we see, and you look even the nameplates they had. All the nameplates had the Helly celebration on the side of it. What I thought was great is we have seen so many times where players come out when they're honoring someone that has a milestone, say 1,000 game, and you see the 1,000 on the back of everyone's jerseys. I loved the extra detail of putting in all 3 milestones that they were honoring. It looked great.
Whoever was doing the stitching last night, though, or the day before,
isn't that the truth?
Like, so that's what we're not. That looks great, but all the work that goes into it, so that's where you have to have a little bit more appreciation of what is going on. So that's a cool look inside the dressing room beforehand. What are you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say that there was also the video that they played for him, and so it had a number of different people, or former teammates, family members, his dog, Timley as well. No surprise, though, that when you heard the eruption from fans, that the loudest cheer went for maybe for some a surprise appearance from former number 33.
The dude always has to was it for Wheels, Blake Wheeler? But the last night here is the quick appearance of one Dustin Byfuglien.
Connor, 300. That's awesome. Keep kicking ass. See you on the water.
A man of few words.
You know what? It was so perfectly buff.
Yeah, and I think it was pretty much the same message to Blake Wheeler too for this 1,000th game. Not so much we'll see you on the water, but the exact same kind of terminology. And then people just lost their mind. He's there for 5 seconds. I just wonder what this place would be like if there's like a Brian Little type night for Dustin Byfuglien whenever he comes back, because I think the roof will go off this place.
Well, there is no doubt. I always say that out of all of the players that we have seen play for Winnipeg Jets 2.0, when it comes to fan favorites, certainly number 33 is there. And what I loved early on when the team was, I remember being at a function for them, and it did not matter if you were talking about a 20-year-old guy, 30-year-old woman, an 80-year-old man or woman, everybody gravitated towards Dustin Byfuglien.
Yeah, the one part I do miss is the fact that I wasn't here when the Jets first came back, and then I got to miss the long stretch of Dustin Byfuglien. That was I got here, 3 years later, it was done, and it was such a quick, memorable time. But I can't imagine what it was like being here from the beginning, because he's just such a unique, special player.
Absolutely. We're going to bring on Eric Hawerchuk in 1 second. Just a quick reminder, the day of last night's game, we reminded many people of a playoff style game. What are you expecting tonight with the Colorado Avalanche here in town?
All right. As mentioned, he is the man known as Eric Hawerchuk. He was in attendance. One thing I love about Eric is his time. He has great timing. When there's big games for the Winnipeg Jets, who is on the plane on his
You don't
way
wanna
to
miss
Winnipeg
them.
every time. He was here for the playoffs. Like your timing is impeccable, Eric. So I compliment you on that.
Thank you very much. I got to take advantage of those direct flights to Phoenix right now. So I have no problem coming up here in January. I'm actually having a great time.
I love it. I wanted to ask you first, a variety of questions, and we'll get to Hawerchuk Strong and the sweet lid that you are wearing right now that we saw in person yesterday, and it looks fantastic. But wanted to ask you just about this Jets season as a whole and the job that you think Scott O'Neill has been doing so far. That obviously we know the close connection between Scott and your dad and family, and to be able to see the way that the Jets have been playing this season. What have you thought of it? What do you think your dad would have thought of it as well?
I think it's amazing. I really often reflect on those days when we didn't even have a team, and now we are one of the most feared and revered teams in the NHL, and that's a fantastic thing, and here tonight we got the Avs on deck, and it's sort of becoming kind of an iconic central matchup, between these two teams. And no, I honestly, the job Scotty's doing though is fantastic, and obviously the players must be loving him because they play hard for him every single night, and it's it's great to see the boys doing so well.
You, of course, were in attendance to the ceremony last night. It was a special one. What were your thoughts on what happened before the game? Such a special night.
It was well deserved, fantastic tribute, and I kind of noticed that Helly's a big fisherman, and ironically, I got invited to go ice fishing today, and I was like, you know what, I haven't done that yet, and I feel like I need to get out there and do that, but maybe I'll get out there with Helly sometime. But what an amazing franchise player to have locked up. Him and Scheifele signing those long-term deals here. It means a lot to the city, and as a fan, I couldn't be more excited to have them, and so well deserved. And 300 wins, that you don't get 300 wins in 500 and some games by accident. That's truly a tremendous goalie.
Yeah, I'd love to see the support that you have, as Jamie mentioned, for this organization, for the franchise as well. You're such a passionate fan of it. But let's talk a little bit also about Hawerchuk Strong and what you are doing now. I mentioned the hat that you're wearing. Maybe tell us about some of the initiatives that you've going on, some of the work that the charity is doing.
Yep. So we started our game day experience this year, and we're trying to send kids to Jets games that may not otherwise have the means or who have gone through some struggles. We've worked closely with several charities here in town, and that my goal is to just kind of keep that going and grow it over the years, and hopefully we can get some more seats next year and get a couple sponsors and partners to come in and jump on board with us on this journey. And it is really cool and rewarding to hear the stories, and some of these kids have had to deal with a lot, and to be able to just give them a little relief and get out to a game. That was my favorite thing to do with my mom or my dad as a kid, going to a hockey game, seeing an NHL game in person. There's nothing like it. And I was very lucky to have that opportunity as often as I did. And I just want to make sure that, some kids who might not otherwise get that chance, get a chance to go and see it, because, and again, we're putting a fantastic product on the ice. So it's kind of been a nice year for it.
Eric, you just touched on it a little bit about the thrill of going to an NHL game as a kid. Do you kind of go back a little bit when these kids are sharing their stories with you?
Yeah, of course. I was pretty young. I was one, I think, when my dad got traded from here. But I remember like when he was in Philly and they had the cup run there, and it was an exciting time. And, we went to a lot of games, but then we'd have to leave after the second period for school the next day, and I'd be crying in the car. I just wanted to stay, And then you'd hear on the radio, Dale scores in the third period. I'm like, Mom, we should have stayed. So, those memories, like, they are burned into my brain, and I just hope these kids get a chance to have something similar.
Can you tell us a little bit about the hat that you're wearing?
Yeah, so my buddies down in Scottsdale from Neverland Country Club, we worked together and came up with this logo. My wife actually also helped design the logo, and I think it's pretty cool. The statue's just so fantastic, and I just thought it would be really cool to incorporate that into the foundation. I'm staying downtown here and went and grabbed a coffee this morning, and I just go look at it sometimes, and I feel very connected to him through that. And I can't thank the, people of Manitoba and the Jets enough for supporting my family and embracing Dale the way they always have. And, this is a very special place to me and my family.
I mean, like, it's not every day anybody has a statue of their dad put up somewhere, but how much does it mean to the family, you and your family, your mom, your siblings, every time you guys see the statue?
It means a ton. I get asked sometimes, it's like, oh, he played for 4 teams. Like, do you have a favorite? And I go, well, one of those teams put him up in bronze out in the city. So I'm probably going to ride with them. And I am born here. So this has been my team ever since we came back. I really, really started to embrace it. And it's so cool. And I kind of get now that I spend a little more time here, I understand what my dad was talking about, how much love he had for the city and the team. And I couldn't be more proud to be from here.
Well, Eric, thank you so much. As we mentioned, we always love seeing you in town, always love to be able to support Hawerchuk Strong as well. The work that you and your family are doing.
Amazing.
We look forward to continuing to see you again as the season rolls on as well. And hopefully for a lengthy playoff run, you'll be spending a lot of time in Winnipeg.
I really hope so too, and I think we got a great game on our hands tonight. So go Jets, go!
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Eric.
Eric Hawerchuk joining us.
That is a sweet hat.
Okay, so I grew up obviously in Calgary and cheering against the Jets, but when I first got here, and even as old as you get, whenever there's a guy that's in the Hockey Hall of Fame, you have a tremendous amount of respect for that person. As I got to know Dale, that's where you start to, like, if how huge and how much Dale Hawerchuk loved the city, you kind of get it and you become a fan even more. And I became more and more of a fan of Dale every time I talked to him during the playoff drive of 2018, how he's such a big part of it. Like, it was special. And it's amazing how you view things change once you get to know the person. And Dale Hawerchuk, and I don't have to tell anybody from Winnipeg this, he was a great person. The family is tremendous as well.
Yeah, so those hats are for sale on the Hawerchuk Strong website. Like I said, they're a thing of beauty, and then they've got Dale Hawerchuk's signature under the brim of it as well. So, anyways, they look very sweet. I'll point that out for you right now. Great to see so many people chatting out there right now. John Morton says Dale Hawerchuk was my favorite player when I was young. I think a lot of people are in a similar situation, thinking back to their childhood, especially if you grew up here, obviously, in the 80s. Love to also see so many people talking about what they are expecting from this game here tonight, the mentality that they're looking to see, the style of game. We should be in for a good one. As mentioned, John Bartlett's going to join us in about 5 minutes.
Well, he looks like, look at him. He's looking around there. He looks ready to go. He's waving to us. He's waving to us.
Why bother waiting 5? I love when people
come on early.
Well, but he's prompt.
Yeah.
That is a man that
Or maybe he's tuning in to see just how great this show is. That's what he's doing. He's like, where can I get that hoodie?
Never mind. This is how I spend all my game days anyways.
Why are they dressed the same? Why do they have that hat on? Well, John Bartlett, we're more than happy to bring you on and answer those questions for you. Look at you. You are ready to go.
What's going on
tonight?
Yeah, how you guys doing? You good? Y'all pumped
We're
up?
doing great.
Big Saturday night?
It's going to be a great atmosphere in here. This homestand, hasn't always had the results that Jets fans have been looking for, but the games have been good. The atmosphere has been great, and looking forward to another one here tonight with you on the call.
So, John, a playoff-style game last night with the Kings and the Jets, maybe not in the first 2 periods in terms of entertainment value, but tight checking. So you see what happened last night. What are you expecting tonight? Because you've called a lot of Jets Avalanche games.
Yeah, I like what Scott O'Neill kind of talked about last night. Those are the kind of games you'll end up in the playoffs sometimes, where you have to wait for your opportunity, and it's very tight. I don't expect the same kind of game tonight, though, with Colorado. No. Colorado versus LA. LA will play that tighter game. Colorado, I think, will try to get it going and push the offensive side things a little more with McKinnon and Rantanen and Makar. So I expect more pace tonight than what you saw last night with the LA game. And I think that Colorado will try to push the offensive tempo a little more. I think we should at least see a little more of a high higher tempo game from both teams tonight. The Jets will have to respond to that as well. So a little more transition, a little quicker, a little more on the attack for both sides is kind of what to expect tonight, I would think.
Year round the league, I've been calling all different teams, all different styles of games. Have you noticed, John, the intensity start to pick up as we start off the second half of the season?
We're getting there, right? So even though numerically we're at the halfway point, which I think a lot of teams now are sort of seeing, and especially in the East, the race in the East and the wild card, I think we're gonna have a fun ride here in the second half. The West is a little more settled, but the West is going to be important. I think where you seed, I'll get to that in a second. So the intensity is getting there. I think coming out of the Four Nations is where we're going to have an enormous jump. It's where you're really going to have teams start to separate from the pack if they can. It always typically is the All-Star break where we see the All-Star game happen, and then those first few games after that, everyone comes back with that sort of, here we go, it's the drive, it's the push, and you see that big jump. We've seen it the last couple of years. So I think we're starting to ramp towards that. The Four Nations face-off is going to change that All-Star break a little. In the sense it's longer for guys that aren't going to be involved in Four Nations. So you're not off for a weekend here. You're off for almost 2 whole weeks. So are we going to have teams come back and be a little sluggish, or are they going to come right out of the gate flying? And also just the lead up to the Four Nations, I think, is changing that intensity we'll see in some of the games. So tonight's a great example of that. Tonight, I think, is a great example of a game. Are we going to see things start to ramp up a little more? And we know the playoff history with the two teams. So if you're the Jets, you want to make sure you're trying to make a statement, not so much to the Avalanche. The Avalanche are a team that believe in themselves anyways. They're not too concerned. I think it's for the Jets. I think the statement is to yourselves. It's time to start thinking about how do we become a different team in game 83 and beyond. And now is when you start, and that's what you're talking about, Sarah. I think that ramping up. Now is the time you start thinking about what kind of a team are we? What kind of a team do we have to be? What do we have to prove to ourselves to give us the confidence to know that we can go out and beat any team in a playoff series? So I think part of that, if it's a statement game tonight, I think the statement will have to be to the Jets, to themselves in their own dressing room.
Of course, you've called enough of these games, these Central Division battles between the Jets and the Avalanche. What is your favorite part of being a part of these games?
Well, two great teams, first of all, with the way they play. So they're always fun. I think you've got great goaltending now on both sides. Mackenzie Blackwood obviously has been phenomenal for the Avalanche. So you've got the head-to-head matchup there with Connor Hellebuyck. And so you've got the good goaltending. I think with that playoff history now, there's that little extra edge to the game, which is always nice. So I think when you have two teams like this, that even the third lines, right? When you look at the third line, I think Winnipeg has the solid third line in this matchup. Granted, Mason Appleton, of course, is out right now, but I think you just have that little extra sort of animosity, I guess is the word you could use, but you should have with this. This is a playoff rivalry. This is a division rivalry. So it gives that extra edge. You have star players in the game on both sides that can break out at any moment. So you're always on the edge of your seat with that anticipation of what could happen next. And these are two teams that bring that. So, and I was just saying earlier too, thinking about it with the standings and everything, how it is in the East, but in the West. And I'll ask you guys what you think about this. How important do you think it is for a Central Division team especially to win the Western Conference and avoid playing, because let's face it, if things stay the way they are, the first wild card spot will be the 4th team in the Central Division. So you have to win the conference to avoid playing either Minnesota, Colorado, or Winnipeg, if you're in that, and Dallas. There's your 4 teams. So you have to win the conference to avoid playing one of those other opponents in the first round. And I think that might become a bit of an important thing down the stretch. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's a great point. I thought originally on a smaller scale, I made the point on a few different occasions, but I think it's incredibly important that the Jets win the Central Division because you don't want to sit in that second or third spot. But it's a great point by you that with it looking as if that first wild card spot is going to be a Central Division team, winning the West, I think, is going to be key because any of those matchups whether if you're the Jets against Minnesota, Dallas, Colorado, that is not an ideal.
It's not a reward either.
It isn't a reward. You think about the great start that they got off to and how you're trying to bank those points, and because of the job that everybody else has done in the division as well with keeping pace, you go, what are you rewarded with?
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You can finish. You can face Colorado in the first round.
Right. So
I do
if you're
think.
Winnipeg,
Yep.
yeah, no, sorry. If you're Winnipeg, we'll use Winnipeg as the example. They're in the spot right now. The difference is you're either going to have Colorado, Minnesota, or Dallas in the first round, or you might have Vancouver or Calgary. That, with no disrespect to Vancouver or Calgary, those are dramatically different opponents to have in the first round, even in just the style of play that those teams have when you look at the battles you have in the Central Division. So, yeah, I think that's going to be something to watch down the stretch too. How important those Central Division teams feel it is to win the conference to hopefully avoid the Central Division opponent in the first round.
Hey, listen, every team on the ice is great together, but what has it been like working with Gary Galley over this number of years?
Well, Gals is in a great mood this weekend because he's a big Broncos fan. So they got in the playoffs last weekend, and now he's got to deal with the Bills. I know Scotty Arniel was wearing a Steelers sweater today, so
yeah.
Yeah, Gals is great. He's got so many great stories from his playing days, and even the way he sees and understands the game. He can find sort of the game within the game so often, which is great when we get into our conversations about that, especially off air where we're talking about 100 things, and in playoff time too, when it really gets intense. He's someone that's been an all-star and has been to the Stanley Cup final and played in multiple markets where he knows what it's all about when it comes to crunch time. So a lot of fun. We have a lot of good laughs and everything, but especially at playoff time, it's really fun because he gets back into that sense of what it was like when you were playing in it, and all the little minute details of a game that affects the series and everything. It's a ton of fun. So yeah, we always have a good time and some good laughs together for sure. So you know what? I'll tell you a quick story. You guys will appreciate this. So last weekend? I'm forgetting my dates through the holidays. The Ottawa game. Ottawa game when we were here with the Senators over the Christmas break. So that was the Broncos were playing that night as well, and the game was on while we were on. So he's down between the benches and has no idea what's going on in the football game to see if the Broncos were going to get into the playoffs. So we're in the intermission, and I had the game on my phone, and I'm trying to update him over the headset to tell him what's going on. And I don't know football that well compared to hockey, so I'm giving the he's in a shotgun. 82 got it. No, he dropped it. No, they're seeing it as a cheater. And he's like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't know. Let me see what the replay says. So I'm relaying the game to him. We had a laugh about that a couple of weeks ago. But so there you go. Little inside story that was funny there. We thought a couple of weeks ago what we were doing when he was down between the benches in the intermission.
Great stuff, Bart's. Enjoy your lunch. Enjoy the call tonight. Always nice to have you in town, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, you bet. Anytime. Should be a great one tonight. Hope everyone enjoys it.
Have a great call.
Thanks, Sarah.
John Bartlett. I hope he has delicious lunch because
So
the
cute.
theme in the back,
Makes
like the
me
music in the
hungry.
background.
Oh.
I'm starving now.
Thanks,
Thanks, Bart's. Appreciate
That's right.
that. Yeah.
Starring as well. John Bartlett, Gary Galley, and our friend Sean Reynolds.
That's what's called the ambiance in the background. Hey, when he was,
Is that what that's called?
yeah, well, that was way better atmosphere than when we had Connor McGahey on. Connor was like having a quiet lunch on a Tuesday.
All right.
That was like atmosphere. Let's go.
Atmosphere.
Atmosphere.
All right.
We got a Central Division battle here. We got atmosphere at lunchtime. Yes.
Looking forward to tonight's game. A couple of quick notes for you as we get ready to wrap up. Again, you've got the Jets looking like they are probably going to go with the same lineup up front, depending on the health of Vladislav Nemesnikov. That is the one question mark on there. Connor Hellebuyck getting the start tonight, the second game of back-to-backs. The Avs come in as they finish off. Oh, does Jamie not have to pay Elton John royalties for that stuff? Oh.
I never forgot about that stuff.
All right.
Some of the places where we show things don't like music.
What?
I didn't know he was going to be there.
Sure.
Why are you always blaming? You look at me every time something
know.
goes off the rails.
It's that disapproving look, huh?
Yeah,
It's almost, I don't know if it's a mum look or a wife look.
It's a wife look. I see that. I see it a lot.
I see that all the time.
I see it all the time. I know what it is. I know how to deal with it. The thing is, you just don't deal with it. That's the key.
Well, that is. It's a whole separate one.
Yeah, that's a whole show.
That's
Yeah.
right. It's not your therapy session.
Yeah.
The Avs come in. This is the end of 3 games straight against Central Division opponents for them. Obviously, the Avs have been playing well. You know the style of game that they play. You got Nathan McKinnon leading the way amongst all NHLers with 68 points. Cale Makar leading all team men. We know how dangerous this team can be. Key for the Jets will be to keep them outside, try to limit the opportunities for them. It will be a Connor Hellebuyck, Mackenzie Blackwood matchup in net.
Yep.
And we are expecting the Avs to look the same as what they did in their win against Minnesota.
Yeah, I can't wait for this one tonight. It does. I think the Jets will not be lacking in terms of energy, especially with Colorado here in the second time they played each other in a back-to-back situation. But this time the Jets didn't have to fly
100%.
all the way to Denver, so I think they'll be fresh and ready to go. 3rd
of 4 meetings between these two teams. They've split them so far. Jets won the game here earlier this year, 1-0. Then came up short in the New Year's Eve game. Of course, that was the back-to-back game that you were talking about. But should be a great one here tonight on Sportsnet. Of course, you can always listen on CJOB and 97.5.
All right. Appreciate you guys watching. Have a tremendous Saturday. It's really nice outside with the snow falling down, but great around temperature. So have some fun outside before you come to the rink tonight, and have some fun before you watch the game or listen to it as well.
Absolutely. Should be a great one. Thanks so much, everybody. Love to see all the comments. Hope that you're able to on Tuesday when the Vancouver Canucks are in town as this homestand for the Winnipeg Jets.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for checking in.